Hello, I'm Chris Fabra. I'm the Web Content Manager for CFE Media and Technology. Today, I'm going to discuss the impact artificial intelligence and machine learning are having in the process manufacturing sector. Manufacturing has gone through many changes in the last several years, and AI/ML has the potential to change it even more. But what does this mean for process manufacturers who are historically slow to change and have different considerations than those perhaps in the discrete manufacturing sector? To help me answer that, I have Manas Dutta, a general manager for Honeywell's Workforce Excellence Growth Initiative. He's here to discuss some of those changes and what he thinks the future of AI/ML is in process manufacturing. Manas did a recent interview in May and a webinar in February with CFE Media and Technology on the connected worker and digital transformation. And those will be linked below if you want to learn more. Welcome, Manas, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you here. So I wanted to kind of start off with what are some of the challenges process manufacturers are looking to overcome potentially with AI/ML? Where do they think they can best benefit from this technology?
Yeah, sure. So if we look at the current landscape of process industry and the challenges they are facing, right? The topmost challenge is the process optimization, the production cost optimization, and increasing the efficiency of the production. So that is one area where this industry is looking for how AI ML can help them to optimize their process. Second one is about energy management. The cost of energy is going up and it is impacting the whole production cost. So how they can reduce or optimize the energy consumption and also the greenhouse gas emission. So that is another area where AI ML kind of use cases are being explored. Then asset management is definitely one aspect of it. How to extend the lifespan of an equipment, and it could be through predictive maintenance, and that does not only lead to the extension of the lifespan of the equipment, but also the cost of maintenance goes down. The fourth one, which is my favorite topic, is about human reliability improvement and how the collaboration between human and machine can be improved to assist the operator, assist the maintenance technicians to make better decisions, faster decisions. And then last but not the least is definitely sustainability. We all know like every process industry is looking for sustainability. They have their own sustainability goal. So that's another area where this technology is being explored. So basically the deeper insights, the data-driven decisions in a ways that it was not possible earlier, right? So those are the areas where this process industry is looking for usage of AI ML.
It definitely seems like better, faster, smarter is, the main watchword with a lot of what's happening these days in the process manufacturing industry, not just on a technological, but also a conceptual and on the human level for sure. And we've seen it the last several months. It was definitely a major topic at the Honeywell User Group event in June. How do you make this better? How do you connect with these workers? And from your experience, is there a particular aspect of AI/ML that has been popular with process manufacturers as a whole of the ones you described, or does it depend on the industry?
So there are few which are common across industry, but I would say that it also varies between industry to industry. And not only between industry to industry, also between same industry across different regions, the needs can vary a bit. So the important point here to note is, Krish, that every customer may not be at a same state or same level of maturity for the adoption of AI/ML technology. And the challenges faced by the the industry may not be exactly same across regions and across different segments. So if I look at some of the commonalities across the industry, predictive maintenance is something which is common and everybody is looking for that, how AI ML can help it. But the other aspects of sustainability, energy management, although it sounds similar, but as I said, everybody is not starting at the same level. The different industries are at different level of optimization, and based on that, the solutions needs bit of a customization.
Yeah. Yeah, to your point about not being on the same level, and that in of itself, is makes every challenge unique. But what are some ways that you try and help them, if they're not on the same level, what do you do to try to kind of get them at least moving forward or getting up to where they ideally should be?
Yeah, so it is important to understand what's their current state, and then what's the future state should look like, and then give a roadmap, because it's not a one shot on and off switch that I turn it on and I just gets transformed to the new state. It's a journey. Now, to undertake this particular journey, it is very important to give that path forward, and that we cannot do until we first assess what's the current state, or we call it as an as-is state, versus what's the to-be state. So that is something which is very important, and we do in Honeywell to sit with the customer, understand their current state, and then give them a stepwise progression to go to the future state, which is the to-be state. And
Yeah.
and the timeline between current state and to-be state will also vary based on their level of maturity.
Right. And this requires a tremendous amount of transparency from the customer. They have to be open and honest with not only you, but with themselves. And that's not always an easy thing for some of these customers. They don't want to be selling themselves short, but they have to, be honest with themselves during this process. And, you have to kind of nudge them along and help them realize where they are and where they could be, correct?
And you have really hit the nail on that, right? Like transparency is the key. Uh, there has to be a trust factor to have the discussion, because end of the day, what we are looking for is how to overall improve the performance, efficiency, and help our customers to achieve better, faster, and with quality. So yes, it's a challenge, but it's not something which cannot be overcome. This is the process, and after a few sessions, it becomes easy.
Okay. When you're trying to optimize, AI ML with these companies, these customers, what technologies on the plant floor or in the control room have you found to be the most beneficial in helping them in this journey or getting them started?
Yeah, so if we look at AI ML, right? AI ML, the way I look at AI ML is like, say, in the oil and gas industry, we have a crude, and then it goes through a refining, and then we get different kind of a gasoline and all. So AI ML is a new refining, if data is the new oil, right? So people say data is the new oil. Now that data is of no use if it is not refined properly, and AI ML is that the refining for the data. Now, but we need the data first.
Yeah.
So to get the data, we need those technologies of sensor and IoT devices. Then lots of data getting generated in a plant, in a manufacturing facility. Everything cannot be moved up in a cloud. So lots of computational power nowadays happening at the edge. So edge computing is an important aspect of this whole AI ML solution. And definitely your big data and cloud, because some of the processing will happen in the cloud. So cloud computing is a very important technology. Cyber security is very important because we are talking about process industry data. So it has to be very well secured from all types of cyber threats. So cyber security is another important technology which is enabling the AI/ML solution. And then visualization, right? We can do lots of refining of the data, but if we cannot provide the right insight with the right context to the end users, then it is of not much of an use. So visualization technologies for the data analytics and AI/ML is also very important. And there are enablers like connectivity, right? 5G connectivity, the high speed, low latency data transmission, which enables more real-time processing is an important aspect. So these are the key technologies which are needed and which has really improved a lot over the last few years and helping the faster AI/ML adoption.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like, all this technology is there, but the trick is to make it all work in harmony. And that's, I think a lot of, from what I've heard, a lot of people like, oh, right. Like, how do you make this all work? How do you, make it a seamless transition and process, to get all this data, to turn it into information that is actually valuable and insights. That seems to be the biggest stumbling block from what I've heard. I certainly heard it at Hug, and I've heard it, at some of the other events I've been to. Like, that's the trick, like turning data into valuable information.
Exactly, and we call it as an integration and interoperability challenges, because if it remains in silos, then we are really not making best out of the AI/ML algorithms and the platform. So the integration and interoperability between all these aspects is important to achieve that.
Right. So, with AI/ML, making all these potential crossroads, can you give me an example of how AI/ML was successfully implemented in a process manufacturing facility, and in what way did it exactly help this facility, do better?
Sure. Let me give you one example. So there is a process manufacturing facilities which was facing frequent equipment failure. And whatever they were doing to do the maintenance, they increased the maintenance frequency in between. They looked at the whole, the design specification of the equipment and all, but it was not helping much to reduce the number of failures that were happening for that equipment. So AI/ML, when used on the data collected from those equipments, it gave some insights around that some of the problems are happening because of the asset related issues. Some of the problems are happening because of the way it is being operated by the operators. So differentiating between those, and when it comes to the operations and the operators, the way they're managing the equipment, it opened up the discussion that, look, this particular thing happening, without naming the exact what happened, was because of the competency challenge that particular customer was facing in that particular site. So it is not about just increasing the frequency of the maintenance can fix the problem, but we have to also reskill, upskill some of the people who are managing that particular facility. So it was not possible earlier to differentiate between those two aspects, looking at a huge amount of data and applying those AI/ML algorithm, which when we did it with our solution, we were able to provide a two-pronged solution. One is focused on the asset side of it, some of the component of the asset which needs to be improved, and the other one about the people part of it, the human machine collaboration and interaction. And that has drastically reduced the equipment failure rate.
Yeah, that you bring up a good point about the human factor. We all talk about these great technologies, but a lot of what you described there was not so much technological, but cultural. You had to kind of change in some facet the workforce culture, like, okay, what might have worked before, it doesn't necessarily work now, and you could do so much better if you change your mindset. And that, is, I think, a major aspect that, could be a potential. It's not necessarily a roadblock, but people have to be open to this.
Yeah, and that reminds me of another thing, Krish, is we have to also see there is a generational shift happening in the workforce,
Hmm.
right? Like people who work for 30, 40, 50 years in one same facility, they are retiring.
Yeah.
And the new generation who are coming on board, uh, they don't stay in a particular job role for more than 3, 4 years.
Hmm.
They tend to switch. So and their way of learning, their expectations, their way of doing things, because they are the millennials, they are the Google, YouTube generations. They don't want to spend years after years in a learning about a particular equipment and becoming an expert. They need more of a information at their fingertips when they need it, and they execute the job. So the nature of doing the job, nature of learning has also changed between these two generations, which
Hmm.
also we have to keep in mind.
Yeah, we've certainly seen it. I saw some of it at Hug. I've seen it at some of the other shows I've been to. Rather than learning through a textbook, you're learning through a virtual reality sort of AR VR simulation where you can get all of this information in real time, through your HoloLens or whatever you're using, and it'll tell you what's happening and why it's happening and what you should be doing. And it's all been synthesized through this, through all this institutionalized learning, but it's all being done virtually.
Exactly, exactly. And that's where we have those solutions. How do we train people faster with virtual reality solutions like immersive field
Mhm.
simulator? And then when they're doing the job in the field, how can we help them with augmented reality to get the right information at right time so that they don't make a mistake.
Right. And even if they do make a mistake within these virtual training realms, at least it's okay because, they're getting that hands-on experience. It's just not, when there's a crisis point and, a mistake could be extremely dangerous for not only them, but for others. So this is it's speeding up their learning experience, but at the same time, it's giving them a safe environment to do it in.
Exactly, Krish. Yes.
So so I know we don't exactly have the crystal ball here, but I wanted to end and ask you, what do you think the next step is for AI ML in manufacturing as a whole, and where and in what way do you think process manufacturers will benefit the most from these next steps in the AI ML world that we're heading into?
Yeah, I think what we discussed earlier, it is the future is how to break the silos and bring the integration and interoperability across different aspects of the technology that we discussed so far, and also across the different organizations in a manufacturing facility. If you look at a manufacturing facility, there are different departments doing different things. So bringing that integration and interoperability between technologies, between different departments within the organization is a very important aspect to get to that AI ML full benefit. And another thing which will evolve more, because today if we look at AI ML, uh, it is going to the prescriptive stage, but it is still more of a predictive than prescriptive.
Mhm.
So with more data processing, data churning capabilities coming in, and more advanced AI ML capability, and I'm sure you heard about generative AI. So generative AI is another new aspect which is going to add a completely new flavor to this AI ML solution in future.
It sounds like this is all evolving, as we do as people. AI ML is evolving and going from predictive to prescriptive, which is the next step. AI ML can help us go from predictive to prescriptive in a more seamless manner, giving us the best of both worlds potentially.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you again, Manas, for taking the time today to talk to me about AI ML in the process manufacturing industry. Really appreciate your insights, and it looks like we're going to be in for an exciting next couple of years, seeing how all of this technology evolves. So thank you again for your insights today.
Oh, thank you so much, Chris. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Likewise, and I'm Chris Favra, a web content manager for CFE Media and Technology. Hope you enjoyed today's video. And again, if you want to see his past interview on the connected worker, it'll be down for you at the bottom of this YouTube video. So thank you again, and have a great day.
Thank you.